Assalamu alaikum. Hi, Oracle Reiki spiritual healer. So when you are working as a caregiver, then you're going to come across people with different kinds of pain, degenerative arthritis, arthritis in the spine. And we're going to, go over some of these types of, cleanses and remedies on our lives. We're going to go over them in our videos because, Reiki has been a benefit to society, to our people. Spiritual healing has been a benefit to our people, for a very, long time, for millions of years. So when we are in certain fields, then we come to understand certain terms and certain understanding that, degenerative spinal disease, spinosis. We have certain kinds of understandings that you will come in contact with these people who have these types of clinical, medical pain, medical names. And overall, it can turn into different kinds of sicknesses and illnesses. You will have some diabetic patients whom their limbs may have to be amputated. You will have some people who have decided that they are only going to do what they want to do, and they have certain types of diseases which causes, this widespread pain, which causes the amputation, and in many cases it can also cause cancer. So we're going to focus on, healing the cancer, healing negative energy with cancer, associated with cancer. And a lot of people, used to come to me when I was in the haberdashery, and they had those marijuana cards, and they were going to dispensaries, or they were able to get their marijuana in the mail. And so they would bring their marijuana to me, but in many times it would not be as concentrated as what they got, from the street level. And so now we're understanding why, because, that marijuana that you're getting on the street level is scientifically modified. Okay, so we want to make sure that we know what's in our marijuana, or we're taking a look at other ways that we can go through, get other types of marijuana to use for our medical practices, our medical problems. And it has really worked well, the marijuana, for certain types of, mental, psychological illnesses. So we have to understand that autism is one of those. Those people who are hyperactive, marijuana works really well for those people who are hyperactive. It works really well with different kinds of, illnesses and diseases. And I have been able to, take some of these people who has cancer, while I was in the haberdashery, and they would eat my brownies and they would feel better. They would have an appetite, and a lot of these people that do not have anybody, around them, a lot of the older people, or, when people get sick, a lot of the family members will distance themselves from these types of people. A lot of it, they just want someone around to eat with, because that's what they're used to. So, as a caregiver, that's what we added. We added the companionship. We added, the friendship, and we added, that if you are with the dispensary, then, you can make these, instead of smoking this into your lungs. And this is how we use the holistic medicine. Marijuana has been used for the holistic medicine throughout my generation and for millions of years. So, we want to use the cannabis. I have been able to use the oil for, some of these people who have come to me, and it has really helped them when they have, the breast cancer. When they have the breast cancer, a lot of the women will come and ask me for brownies, or they'll ask me for the oil, or they'll ask me for smoothies made into these types of, cannabis treats that they can eat. They can rest at night without having the pain. If they've had the amputations, the breast amputations, we have the prostate cancer for the men. And they've been able to reach out to me, with these types of healing methods and remedies, and receive relief and receive healing. Because I pray over everything. Like I say, if at best, you're going to, have a bowel movement, so that, you're not receiving, that kind of bloated feeling, that kind of nauseating feeling, from your medication from the doctor. So make sure that you continue to treat with your doctor. But you're not having that kind of nauseating feeling. You're not, vomiting things up. Okay, because you have the holistic medicine, and you're able to, if you have those kinds of cards, then you're able to use the holistic medicine in order to treat that kind of pain from cancer, from prostate cancer, from, having those types of, different kinds of cancer in your fallopian tubes, your ovaries. Different kinds of diseases that have been able to, at least you can have this type of relief, especially with the glaucoma. My father had the glaucoma. Okay. And I know many older people who had cards, who had those marijuana cards, where they could smoke marijuana, or their marijuana came in the mail, and, either they were, using it up really early, or, it wasn't working for them. It wasn't strong enough. So, we started making the edibles so that, they could get some relief from these types of, pains and, degenerative diseases, and the glaucoma and the cancers. And men and women were coming to me in order for them, if they didn't like, if they're like me, I didn't like the smell. So, it was best that, they could, have a brownie and eat those brownies, and I would make them, how they wanted them, with nuts or without the nuts. I would make, the smoothies, because I had a slushy machine, and I was making smoothies with my slushy machine, or I would use the oils in order to, bake them into products for my people who had those cards and who needed, relief from these types of attacks and aches and pains, from cancer. Okay, so you have to be able to understand that these remedies and rituals are good for removing any kind of negative energy. And, people who abuse these types of remedies and herbs, the holistic medicines, then ultimately they become immune, and they start needing more and more, because it is a medication. It has to be administered as a medication, and a lot of our young people have abused it. And, our government has seen that they are using it in, an abusive way, and they are adding other things to this THC on that is on the streets, and it is harming the reproductive, glands in men and women. So we have to be very careful of that. So I wanted to bring this to your attention. The holistic medicines, you can use them with other types of foods. You can put them in your foods. You can use these methods, especially if you're having widespread pain, if you're having debilitating pain from cancer, glaucoma, any of these things. The holistic medicines and remedies have been working, and a lot of the doctors have been prescribing these cards when the holistic medicines work better than painkillers. So I hope you received this message. Please like, share, and subscribe to me over all of my platforms. You can book your one-on-one sessions with me so that I can acclimate a gift to your situation to heal any of the widespread pain or negative energy that has been sent to you using the holistic medicine. Please book your life coaching sessions or your video chat sessions. Donate to my channel. Or you can also book your one-on-one sessions, consultations with me, so that we can get a better understanding of what's going on with you. I'm